Rose Review. Sandra Amazes. Again, in Markus Schleinzer's immaculately controlled tale of gender privilege. While jumping through the hoops of her first U.S. award season 2 years ago for Anatomy of a Fall and The Zone of Interest, it must have amused Sandra ller to be labeled a breakthrough performer, as if the Tony Erdmann star hadn't repeatedly proven herself one of the world's great working actors since her startling feature film debut in 2006 Requiem. No one should be surprised that she's again extraordinary in Rose as a 17th century war veteran, concealing a host of secrets, not least among them her gender beneath a man's rugged work clothes. Yet the performance itself is consistently and subtly surprising, still and observant when you might expect mannered fuss-raging, when you expect retreat, never transparent or complacent regarding the character's motives or sense of self. Yet for all the Olympian acting craft it showcases, Rose is no mere performance vehicle. The latest from radical Austrian formalist Markus Schleinzer, it's a work so tightly disciplined in every aspect, from its haunted monochrome lensing to its razor-shaved final edit to the sea of tacit political commentary underpinning its no-word-wasted script, that any bum thespian note would shatter the whole immaculate construction. Casting director for the likes of Michael Haneke and Jessica Hausner before he turned to filmmaking, Schleinzer needed and found a virtuoso who could also submit herself entirely to the film's quietly complex thesis on gender performativity and privilege past and present. The exactitude of Schleinzer's filmmaking doesn't come quickly, it would appear. Rose is just his third feature in 16 years, and arrives 8 years after his astonishing sophomore effort, Angelo, a rigorously revisionist biopic of African-born slave turned Viennese courtier Angelo Soliman, that was too austerely confrontational to secure the distribution it merited in many territories. His assured debut, the 2011 pedophile portrait Michael, was no picnic for potential audiences either. While no more compromising in its telling of a supremely sad and socially unforgiving story, Rose's linear elegance and delicate craft collaborate with Heller's riveting work to make it the director's most accessible film, sure to interest discerning arthouse buyers following its Berlinale competition premiere. Though she doesn't give it up readily, Rose ller has a simple explanation for why she's chosen to live as a man for much of her adult life. There is more freedom in trousers, she says, and they're just a piece of cloth, so I put them on. That is no casual act, however. In 17th century Germany, least of all in the ascetic Protestant village, she chooses to settle in following a long brutal stint as a soldier in the 30 Years' War. The villagers are initially wary of this scarred, soft-spoken, diminutive figure who turns up claiming to be the long-absent heir to a crumbling local farmstead. But Rose, we never learn the male name she gives people, just as they never learn her female one, a typically geometric detail in Schleinzer and Alexander Brahms' screenplay gradually wins their approval with her work ethic and church attendance, to the point that a neighboring farmer offers her the hand of his eldest daughter, Susanna Caro Braun. As part of a land exchange deal, of course. That a woman is shown to be such literal currency in this world is a sharp reminder of why Rose has opted out of that identity. Susanna is a stolid and servile wife, less complaining than her father about her husband's reluctance to consummate the marriage, and a doting mother, when baby eventually, and most unexpectedly to Rose, at least makes 3. There is a slender streak of humor, dry and combustible as kindling, in the film's exploration of this absurd domestic setup, which lays out the rigid expectations of women and men alike in a punishingly conservative society. Though predominantly a fictional narrative, Rose has been built from Schleinzer's extensive research into various stories of malpresenting women through the centuries. Even as it tilts into melodrama, it has the ring of historical truth. So do the film's remarkably weathered production and costume design, in which every last patinated timber beam or scuffed boot heel appears excavated from the ground itself. Running narration delivered with a kind of academic remove by actor Marisa Grolt provides some access to the inner life of our strategically taciturn, withdrawn protagonist, though it isn't quite omniscient either. Schleinzer is content to let some ambiguities linger as the situation tautens and worsens, including the question of Rose's own sexuality, or asexuality as the case may be. She doesn't identify as transgender or dysphoric, and describes her male presentation simply as a practical means of moving unimpeded through the world. Her mostly unimpeded marriage is another purely pragmatic move, though. As Rose and Susanna get to know each other better, a cautious tenderness builds between them, a flicker of warmth at the heart of this brisk exercise. At once armored, guarded, and intensely vulnerable, Heller's performance is the human factor here, a volatile, unpredictable element, but one nonetheless attuned to the film's meticulous shaping and mise-en-scène. While editor Hans-Jörg Webrich September 5 crops this spiraling folk saga to just 93 essential minutes, the stark, poolingly dark black and white lensing by Schleinzer's regular DP Gerald Kirkletz is concentrated and patient, often searching Heller's face in compassionate close-up for just the right twitch or tell. Most sparely effective of all is an a cappella vocal score by singer-songwriter Tara Nome Doyle, whose high moaning strains contain all the anguish that Rose in all her stoic assumed masculinity keeps inside.